Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. I'm Jeremy Crosby with Andrew Bramley, just on the other side of the wall here. We're ready to bring you Talking Fitchburg, and it's been a great week so far, and we got a lot coming up on the show today. We're going to be talking about Flood Awareness Week. We'll give you some safety tips and just get you thinking about the potential. Reading some statistics here from Wisconsin, it's actually becoming more like our number one threat for weather events is flooding. So we'll break it down for you and get you prepped for the season. And sticking with safety, it's like an all safety Wednesday. We're going to check in with Fitchburg EMS. Jeff Dosick will be here on the show today, and he'll give us the latest, including they're in a study with no lights and sirens for going to and from calls and to and from the hospital. So we'll break that down for you coming up here in a little bit. But first, we turn to our headlines, and we start with an officer who was injured during arrest recently. This happened on March 1st around 6:15 p.m. Officers from the Fitchburg Police Department responded to the 4500 block of Thurston Lane for a report of a disturbance. When officers arrived on scene, they are contacted. And do we determine, is this Edgar, and determined he was involved in a disturbance. Edgar refused to cooperate and resisted when an officer attempted to detain him. During the struggle, one of the officers was injured and transported to a local hospital with a minor injury. The officer was treated and released. Edgar was arrested and transported to Dane County Jail on charges of resisting and obstructing officers, causing a soft tissue injury, attempting to disarm a peace officer, and other charges related to the disturbance. Other news, Fitchburg Fire Department responding to a structure fire yesterday morning. This happened at 1902 Greenway Cross. Tenants were home at the time of the fire when it started. The family of the three consists of 2 adults, 1 child, was able to evacuate safely. 2 family cats perished in the fire, likely due to smoke. Cause and origin were investigated, although exact cause could not be determined. The area involved suggested that the items on or near the stovetop ignited and extended to cabinets above and adjacent to the stove. By the time the Fitchburg Fire Department arrived on scene, the entire kitchen was involved. The building did not have a fire protection sprinkler system, and the fire alarm system did not sound when the manual pull station was activated. Fitchburg Fire was able to extinguish the fire and control fire growth to the area of origin. Smoke damage was noted throughout the apartment unit. No structural damage was observed. The family has been displaced. They are working with the Red Cross and their insurance company to address temporary lodging and personal items. All other tenants in the complex were able to return to their homes. Building maintenance was on site to address building security and other restoration issues. Fitchburg Fire Department was assisted by the Fitchburg Police Department, Fitchburg EMS, Verona Fire Department, and the Madison Fire Department. Sticking with the fire department news, we've got another scam alert coming out related to that t-shirt scam from the fire department. And the post says here, we like our green, and we know you do too. However, if you get a post or text like this, it is not from the fire department. No, it doesn't come from the Fitchburg Fire Department. Do not go to the site and delete this post immediately, or report it to our friends at the Department of Trade, Consumer Protection, or the BBB, because it is fake. And yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want that shirt? But get it a different way, not from this, because it is a scam. City of Fitchburg Ag and Rural Affairs Committee has their annual listening session coming up. Get this on the calendar. The City of Fitchburg will be holding an agricultural and rural affairs listening session at 4 o'clock p.m. Tuesday, March 15th at Four Winds Farm. That's located at 5735 Adams Road in Fitchburg. The intent of the session is to provide interested parties with an update on various city projects and activities, as well as gather feedback from the city's rural residents on various issues of interest to them. Members of the city's Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee and Common Council, along with city staff, will be in attendance at the session. Note the session is part of a regular scheduled committee meeting, and committee will be discussing some other business prior to the session. If you need any further information, you can contact our friend Wade Thompson, City Community Development Planner, 608-270-4285, or send him an email. That information is on your screen and at our website. Talking about floods this week, all this week is Flood Awareness Week, and one that we want you to think about today for a safety tip is mitigation minimizes flood losses. Before a flood happens, home or property owners can elevate and anchor utilities, clear debris from their gutters, and maintain your sub pump. When's the last time you checked that sub pump? Andrew, you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. You can check out the website, Ready Wisconsin. They have great tips on planning for this week. And coming up in our digest today, we'll be talking more about Flood Awareness Week here in Wisconsin. But good time to be talking about that. All right, we're turning to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. This happens every year. I love this event. March 26th at from noon to 6 p.m. at Madison West High School. Join the Habitat UW-Madison campus chapter for a great meal, local entertainment, student throwdown bowls, and raffle drawings on Saturday, March 26th from 12 to 6 p.m. The cost is just $15 for a bowl, which includes soup, salad, bread, and dessert. Or for $35 for a family of 4, you get 2 bowls, 4 meals, and larger and more decorative bowls are sold during the silent Pro Bowl auction. All proceeds go towards helping building affordable housing in Dane County. If you haven't checked that out, it's a cool event. Finally, Flight for Lights, another fun event, returns to the Dane County Regional Airport. Yes, it's time for a huge announcement. Third annual Flight of Lights will start on March 25th and run through April 17th. We can't wait to brighten your spirits with a drive-through light show that is even bigger and better. Wow. I don't know. Did I sell that enough for everybody? More information, please visit flightoflights.com for more information. It is a fun event. If you haven't been out to it, it's pretty cool. And they have local fire nights. Fitchburg Fire Department's participated in it. And it's a pretty cool event to check out. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Flood Awareness Week and everything you need to know next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. Use a delivery service for essential items like food and medicine. If you must make essential trips, stay 6 feet apart from other people. Wear a cloth face covering and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Hey, boss. Okay.
Said I'm fine.
Me the bed, see you in the morning with the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it, and we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. We were underlay in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Bob.
You know you can talk to me.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us.
Ready!
That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu. And especially this year, no one has time to get sick. Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg in the digest, and today we're talking about Flood Awareness Week. It's happening across Wisconsin this week. Everything you need to know to be flood ready, flood safe, or just so you won't float away. Anybody? So quiet in the studio. Let's jump into it here. An official proclamation was put out there for Flood Safety Awareness Week. It's through this week, and now is the time to protect, prepare, and plan for potential flooding risks. 'Tis the season, as they say. So let's start with it. It's with the Flood Safety Week. Flooding is most common and costly disaster in Wisconsin. Again, flooding is the most common and costly disaster in Wisconsin. And it can happen to anywhere to anyone. learn how to protect yourself. We've got the answers. And during a flood, motorists should never drive around a barricade or drive through flooded waters. You're going to see a theme here on these graphics. How about taking steps right now? Now is the time. Yes, protect your home before flooding. Check out that flood insurance. Do household inventory. When's the last time you went around and took photos of your house to make sure that you have everything covered and documented for your insurance? You should check with your insurance agent, by the way. They'll tell you what you need to do to get the appropriate coverage. And of course, store your documents in a safe place, like not in the basement where it could get flooded. And have you had a put your family plan together even? Well, you better do so if you haven't, because that's so important. And today's one was mitigation minimizes flood losses. So again, elevate and anchor utilities. Of course, clear debris from your gutters. This is that time of year. We've had a lot of ice and snow that's been melting, but make sure those things are clear. And of course, maintain your sub pump. If you haven't checked that out, make sure it's working. Maybe you have a battery backup one. You should check that one out too. I checked mine out a few weeks ago because I had something else go wrong with the furnace, and I was like, hey, while I'm back here, let's see if this thing actually fires up. Sure did. Glad it did too, because I don't want any flood problems. Let's talk about just some flood safety tips overall. So before a flood, know your flood risk. Assess the potential for flooding on your property, even if you live in a floodplain or near a body of water or have a basement. Plan with your family for what will you do if floodwaters begin to rise. Build a go kit. Do you have a go kit ready? Include items such as food, water, cash, medications, copies of important documents, personal identification like passports and birth certificates, medical records, insurance policies, and financial documents. Make an emergency plan. If you can't make it home or need to leave quickly, identify a meeting place for your family. Make a list of emergency numbers and important contacts. How about during and after a flood? Well, stay up to date on the forecasts, of course. Identify multiple ways to receive those alerts about the dangerous weather conditions and potential flooding, such as a no-weather radio, trusted local news outlets, and mobile weather apps. Never drive or walk through flooded areas. So important. Don't do it. Turn around. Don't drown. We see the photos and the videos every single year of cars that try and chance it, don't know the depth, and then they become floaters and float away. And in all seriousness, you're putting not only your life in danger, but the life of public safety officials who have to come out and get you out of those floodwaters. So never drive around a barricade or drive through floodwaters, because you just don't know how deep that is. Just 6 inches of fast moving water can sweep adults off their feet, which is insane. And while 12 inches can carry away a small car, that is also insane. 12 inches, that's all it takes. It can sweep away a small car. Be especially careful while driving at night. And if we remember the flood from several years ago, where that flood started about the drive home, and by the evening time, people couldn't see and ended up driving into some of these floodwaters and became stranded. And it can happen so quickly. What did we get? Like 20 inches of rain or something like that? It was insane amounts. So we got to be careful of that. There's been more weather events in recent times. And as mentioned at the top here, Wisconsin is seeing a lot more flood events, and the costs of those are substantial. So do your part, take it serious, put those plans together, and we'll continue to talk about these and other weather safety tips, as we always do here on Talking Fitchburg. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up next, we are excited. Jeff Doslick is here from Fitchrona EMS. That's next right here on TF.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps! Did Pete saying mean things bother ya?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Fitch-Rona EMS, our friend Jeff Doslick, Deputy Chief. So much more. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much. Great introduction.
Hey, yeah. Well, you are the man, so we got to step it up every time we can. Jeff, we got a couple of different topics to talk about today. We'll start. I as marked it as 'tis the season for slips and falls because we're kind of in that transition period where it's warm, it's cold, it's warm, it's cold, then you can slip and fall and everything else. So as we start to close out winter, have you guys been seeing a lot of those types of things because of the weather?
We've seen a few. Unfortunately, the people in our district are rather safe, which is good from that standpoint, but it is something that constantly worries me because, those injuries, whether they're, breaks of bones and hands and, legs, they also cause head injuries. And those can be much more devastating, especially for those patients that are on Coumadin or warfarin or any of those blood thinning products. So I remind my wife every morning when she walks out to, watch for the ice, and she always turns and gives me that funny look of like, why do you keep reminding me of that? And I told her, I keep reminding you of it because it's one of those things that we just, as it gets warmer, we go for walks and we just don't pay much attention to those small slippery spots that are on the sidewalks or in the parking lots because of the melting snow. So I just ask people to really pay attention of, their surroundings when they're out there, especially now as the snow is melting. Today it's 40 degrees. It's going to be nice all weekend. Fortunately, most of the snow will melt. But if we do get another snowstorm and then it happens to freeze and melt, and it does become an issue. And I know the ERs have been fairly busy with those types of incidents as well. So I ask people just to be real careful when they're out there.
Yeah, I think great safety tips, and I know that I'm a victim to a fall of black ice that I didn't see. It was warm out, and sprained my ankle years ago. So it happens just like that. And of course, I was distracted by the cell phone, so I'll leave it at that.
Right. Don't walk don't walk and text at the same time.
You just can't do it. It just can't do it. Also, COVID-19, the mask mandate just lifted in Dane County for indoor parts. But overall, what are you seeing out there as far as trends goes? We've seen definitely go down, but this first quarter, what were were you seeing a lot of calls related, or what have you seen out there?
Yeah, call volume was, I'll knock on wood because I haven't said this very often in the last year and a half, but call volume was actually under 300 calls for the month of February. That's the first time in over 13 months where the service has been under 300 calls. The calls that we're seeing are higher acuity, trauma related stuff as summer start, as spring starts to open up. We've seen a lot of cardiac arrest calls, and I'm not really sure what those are a result of. As we know, when COVID hit, a lot of people didn't want to go to the hospital. A lot of elective procedures were put on hold. People waited because they didn't want to be, they didn't want to go in and expose themselves to that hospital stuff. But I think from the standpoint of the staff, our staff is healthy. We were fortunate enough to not have a lot of staff go out with COVID. Where we saw some staff absences was a result of family members being sick and staff having to stay home and take care of them. So we did a phenomenal job, I think, from our staff standpoint to take care of ourselves and follow the rules that were out there. We've opened up at least, the mask mandate in the station has gone away. What we've asked our staff is to make sure that they wear, if they're sick or have a family member that is sick, to make sure that they wear a mask, to protect themselves and others. And then, of course, we'll still highly recommend that they wear at least a surgical mask while they're out on calls. If it's a respiratory, cardiac arrest, high acuity type call, we've encouraged them to put on an N95. We've seen, as far as getting supplies in, the supply chain has opened up quite a bit. So we do have, an adequate amount of N95s to get us through, hopefully not another pandemic, but, a couple of years of, just regular, calls. And so, fortunately, we've been very lucky, I think.
Well, that's good to hear and appreciate the update on that front. Final discussion today, you guys announced that you'll be part of a study of lights and sirens and not using them as much. Tell us about this trend.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this study. Historically, emergency service providers, run red lights and sirens to all of the calls that we go to, and there's been a misconception that using lights and sirens gets us there faster. The national study by the National Association of EMS, the Quality Alliance, which are national providers around the country, have gotten together to take a look and see if that's really the case. Are we really getting there faster? Some studies have shown that we're not. We're only saving about anywhere between 40 seconds and about 2.5 minutes on average, a 90 percentile average of calls. So what we're trying to do is take a look at the calls that we've dispatched that are lower acuity calls, the alpha level, low acuity calls, Bravo level, low acuity calls, and some of the Charlie level calls, and not responding red lights and sirens to those calls, because we're really not saving any time. But we are, when we respond lights and sirens, really putting ourselves and the public at risk by going through those intersections, changing the lights. People that are driving don't know which way to turn. And the same holds true for transporting to the hospital. Are we really making a difference by going faster to get to the hospital? Now, I get it if it's your loved one and we're showing up with no lights and sirens and you wonder why we're doing that. I understand that there's a public perception. Part of the study is to throw out as in, how do we change culture and how do we change the numbers? And for us, the numbers as far as response is concerned, we want to be at about 70% of our responses being no lights and sirens, and we're between 55 and 60%. So we still have some work to do on that. And then as far as transporting to the hospital, they want us at least at 95% of the time transporting no lights and sirens, and we're between 88 and 90. So we're pretty close on those. And what we'll look at is those responses that are being transported to the hospital, lights and sirens, is we'll QA those calls to see if they were really necessary. Part of it is educating the staff on expectations and what our response policy is. And then this part of it for us today, and I'm glad you brought it up, is educating the public and trying to change the public perception that not every call, while we understand it's your emergency and we're there for you, but not every call requires a really rapid response of lights and sirens. So we're trying to do it, be proactive, take the public's interest in mind, understand where they're coming from. And if we need to do more education to change the culture of the perception of the public on what an emergency is. Now, we're working with our fire department partners in this, and it's an ongoing process. So I would suspect that, as we work through this, you may see the ambulance show up, non-emergent, fire truck may show up, with lights and sirens. And we're trying to figure out how we can best serve the public with closest unit going red lights and sirens and other units not. So that's where we're at. I encourage people to send me an email, jeffd@fitchronems.com. You certainly can call us, and I'll explain, try to explain what we're trying to do here and try to change the public perception.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
it's
big lift.
education. It is. It's a big education piece on both fronts, and that's what the study will help kind of help decipher through and see those trends, and it's safety first, right? If the ambulance can't get to you, then it's not going to be worth anybody's time for calling 911. Not saying that Fitchburg or any EMS service or fire service isn't safe on getting there, but you're right. It's just that education of when that's happening and everything that surrounds that. So it's going to be great to get more information, Jeff, and we'll certainly follow up with you on that for sure.
We're one of 50 services around the country. We were chosen to be one of 50 services. City of Madison, Monona, and Deer Grove EMS in our area are part of the study. So it's not just us doing it locally. This is being looked at across the country, and how do we change perception across the country and saving lives. Saving lives by not crashing ambulances and getting providers and the public hurt in the response of what could be considered a non-emergent call is important.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you breaking it down, Jeff, and we'll look forward to learning more on that report and check back in with you next month.
Great. Thanks.
You bet. Jeff Doslick, your Deputy Chief of Fitchburg EMS, and we'll check back in with them real soon and keep you up to date on that lights and sirens study. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be flood next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, wrapping up the show for the day. I want to thank Jeff Doslick from Fitchburg EMS with his update. We'll check back in on the lights and sirens study a little bit later in the year. And of course, we check in with them every month, so we'll get updates from them. Appreciate their time either way. And you can stay connected with Fact TV. There it is. Join us, won't you? Have a good night, everybody.